this morning. So good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living Los Angeles and our weekly Sunday celebration service. It's my pleasure and honor to say thank you to you for being here today, to our amazing musicians who are bringing to you today some really beautiful music. I didn't know you were going to sing This Little Light of Mine or insert it in there. I'm going to talk about that a little bit later this morning, that song. And if you're new to us, a big welcome, and if you're not, a big welcome. We're a metaphysical New Thought community that comes together every Sunday mornings, and we welcome every Sunday morning, and we welcome all facets and aspects of life into our spiritual home here at 1200 North La Brea Avenue. One of the things I love about our home is that it gets multiple uses relative to different faiths at times. This morning at 8 o'clock there was a memorial prayer service being done on the roof from the synagogue here, Congregation Kolami. It's one of the 4 times they come together and honor their people. And it was just beautiful to know that that was taking place. And as they were walking in, they were all saying hello to us. And their board came over and talked to me for a while, their board president. And he was like, I love having you guys here. And you're not even just tenants, we're all family. And it was just really wonderful and special. And I want to share that with you. The vision statement for our community is supporting individuals finding their personal self-empowerment through a spiritual awakening. We come together on Sunday mornings and throughout the week and at times together in community events for that purpose, to create a venue and a space and an energy field, if you will, so that you as an individual can find your personal self-empowerment through a spiritual awakening. We practice the teachings of metaphysics here, meaning that we believe that you are one with and as the power of the divine. It's omniscient and omnipresent and omnipotent all at the same time. If you wonder what that means, we go over it more in class on Wednesday nights at 7:15. A little plug. But what that means is it's an ever-present power that exists throughout the universe, and it exists through you and through me. And we get to experience and express it to the degree that we become conscious of it. The world that we live in is governed by spiritual law, just like there are physical laws that govern the universe, and we use them whether we're conscious of it or not. However, as we become more and more conscious of it, our life becomes more enhanced and gets better every day. Primarily what we practice here is a teaching called religious science, which is a study of the teaching of the science of mind. This week, as I was going through some stuff, I found a little emblem in a new way that's being presented about our teaching called a philosophy of faith and a way of life. So we welcome you here this morning. We welcome all races, all religions, all countries of origin, all sexual orientations, all genders, all ethnicities, all abilities, all people. As I say every Sunday morning, we like to honor what our beloved founder, Dr. David Walker, used to say: we welcome one and we welcome all. I love it that you guys say that with me, so please say it with me again. We welcome one and we welcome all. We think that there may be a glitch in our online system today, but let's wave to everybody, believing that those that are watching us live stream are indeed doing that, whether it's live or in person. You guys ready for a beautiful service? Yes. Good, me too. So today, just as we do every Sunday, we open our service with a ritual. It's done in pretty much the same way, the ritual itself, every Sunday morning. We vacillate back and forth between 2 different rituals. Today, the ritual that I'm going to do as your practitioner of the day on the Bema is the Flames of Faith. It's an opportunity for us to acknowledge the religions of the world and to see them from a new perspective, ultimately connecting to them from the continuity of the oneness of life that exists within each individual on this planet, no matter what religion they practice. It's an opportunity for you to hear some new languaging, if you've never heard it before, regarding spiritual mind treatment and the way that's done. That's an affirmative prayer, as well as to do a little call and response, sing along, and then as before, I end with that prayer. We light the candles and give you the opportunity to call in the light within yourself. Our illuminator today is the gentleman who will be our parliamentarian for our business meeting after the service today. He's the one and the only, the vivacious Dr. Neil Foster. Dr. Neil, that was quite the applause you just received. Yes, it was ongoing. It was infinite, just like the power within you and your smile. Our musicians will take us through.
Please join us. Calling in the light, calling in the light, calling in the light of love, calling in the light, calling in the light, calling in the light of love.
Today we perform this ceremony to promote the universal consciousness of life, which acknowledges that all peoples and all faiths, all sentient beings come from the one great universal presence, which we call spirit. Fundamental to this truth is the unifying nature of all religious thought and experience, which we know and we honor here today. As Dr. Neil lights the first candle, he does so for the Tao, honoring the universal path of harmony and equilibrium, that which is known as the natural way. As we move to the second candle, it's illuminated for the shamanic traditions, honoring the beliefs and practices of all indigenous peoples, the way of primal spirituality. As we move to the third candle, Dr. Neil lights it for Hinduism, honoring the path of knowledge, action, and devotion. The fourth candle is illuminated for Judaism, honoring the ethical path of living by sacred law, that which is practiced here in this room and on the roof earlier this morning. We light the fifth candle for all forms of Buddhism, honoring the Four Noble Truths and the path of compassion. Dr. Neil lights the sixth candle for all forms of Christianity, honoring the Christ consciousness, which exists within each one of us. That Christ consciousness is also known as the path of love and was spoken about yesterday at the wedding. We light the seventh candle for all forms of Islam, honoring the path of submission, the submission to the will of God as the highest calling. As we move to the eighth candle, it's illuminated for the universalistic religion of Baha'i, honoring the path of unity and of peace. Moving to the ninth candle, we light that for all forms of new thought. It's that which we practice here at the Center for Spiritual Living, Los Angeles. We light this candle in the practice of new thought, honoring the metaphysical path of healing through the practice of universal spiritual principles. And as Dr. Neil lights the 10th candle, it's that which we call the healing candle. I ask that you take a moment, think of anyone that you would like to silently put into the light of the healing flame so that they and you may experience the everlasting love of the divine.
Please join us. I am love.
I am love.
I am peace.
I am peace.
In my heart.
In my heart.
I am free.
I am free.
I am spirit.
I am spirit.
I am soul.
I am soul.
All together.
All together.
We are all.
We are
calling in the light. Calling in the light. Calling in the light. Oh, love. calling in the light, calling in the light, calling in the light of love, calling in the light of love. And so it is, and so it is,
So it is.
and so it is.
So it is. So.
And so feeling the energy of the light that we've just called in, closing our eyes and seeing it out through the darkness of our eyelids, feeling it as it has been ignited within us in a new and greater way in this moment. What I know for us, and I know that we know together, both individually and collectively, is this light is the ever-present infinite flame of the divine. It is that which is equal to peace and power, beauty, joy, love, life, and wisdom. I know for each of us today that we come together in this beautiful environment called our home to awaken within us and a reminder to us that not only are we not alone, but that we are the one power and the one presence and the one life expressing itself with grace and with ease and with beauty, with grandeur, with an open mind and with an open heart, and bringing forth and propagating good and joy as we move forward in life. And so we each settle into this time that we get to share together and honor the divine within each other, trusting and knowing that we're here by divine appointment, which means that we're here beyond just simply the cerebral choice of getting up, drinking coffee, getting dressed, and coming here. We're here to not just hear the divine speak to us, but to resonate with it and as it, and to be in community, which means we commune together. Maybe not for 54 minutes with coffee and sugar products, but we do it in a way to allow the divine to create this resonance field beyond us, knowing that we're growing together. And so for that, I know that we say thank you for the opportunity to be together, to be inspired through music and message, and to just simply be deeply grateful to be able to be together today. We let it unfold by saying together, amen, and so it is. Thank you so very much. Thank you. Beautiful. He was looking for you. Great. Still warm, David? Yeah, you're good, or you're still warm? It's that hot drink you're drinking, and it's the power of the Lord that I've awakened within you. Okay. So I started here as the Gap minister, 2016, something like that? Yeah, maybe earlier, May, or anyway. So ever since I've been doing this thing called ministry here on Sunday morning, I have requested hearing the song we're about to sing. It's a song, even as I say that I've requested to sing, I start crying. You know, I'm a crybaby, right? But it touches something so deeply in my soul. And for those of you that know me, I'm a fairly anti-Broadway show-tune-y kind of guy. We'll go through the psychological regions of that on another Sunday. But, right? But this particular song, which is both from a show and a movie, speaks to that which I really want us to look at today, both as a message and what we're looking to accomplish and be together, not only through the affirmative prayer I just did, but through my message today and celebrating our students as they get acknowledged for their classwork, but also what we're looking to accomplish today in our business meeting. So I am so happy that this beloved individual is going to share her talent with you and sing it in all of its magnificence and glory. With your Ron and guide, please enjoy the song Home from the Wiz.
When I think of home, I think of a place where there's love overflowing. I wish I was home. I wish I was back there with the things I've been knowing. Wind that makes the tall grass spin into leaning. Suddenly the raindrops that fall have a meaning, sprinkling the sea makes it all clean. Maybe there's a chance for me to go back now that I've had some direction. It would sure be nice to be back home where there's love and affection. And maybe I can just convince time to slow up, giving me enough time in my life to grow up. Time, be my friend, make me start again. Suddenly my world's gone and changed its face, but I still know where I'm going. I have had my mind spun around in space, and yet I've watched it growing. And oh, if you're listening, God, please don't make it hard to know that we should believe the things that we see. Tell us, should we run away? Should we try and stay? Or is it better just to let things be? Living here in this brand new world might be a fantasy, but he taught me to love, and now it's real, and I've learned that I must look inside our hearts to find a world full of love like yours, like mine, like Thank you. Thank you so much.
Enjoy, Fountain. Enjoy. Take your bow. Great. Thank you. Yes. Great. Now I'm going to invite all three of you to head back to your seat over there. No. I'll share my vision. I'll share my songs. I'll share it all, but I don't share my stage. No, just kidding. Daddy's clear on his boundaries. Okay. Right, Philip? It's so true. Okay, good. So I thank you. Enjoy. Thank you. Thank you. That was beautiful. So obviously we don't say, are you listening, God, in our teaching, because we know in our philosophy and teaching, God can't really listen because God doesn't have ears per se. But we know that the power is always responding to us. This morning we're going to do something a little different before I begin to give my message. And we're going to honor our students that have been taking class over the last year and a half. What I'm going to do this morning is honor those who have been taking it for credit to be on the trajectory for becoming a practitioner through the Centers for Spiritual Living, and or they've been doing it to get credit for ongoing education as a minister. I'm not doing it to exclude those that have been in class and aren't getting certificates, just simply to acknowledge them, as well as we will acknowledge everyone who has been in class. And so I've been remiss in doing this over the last year, so indulge us as we do this and acknowledge these individuals. So starting back with the foundations class that was taught in this room probably a year and a half ago, the individuals that get their certificate for that, which was teaching the basic principles of our philosophy and teaching, are as follows: Michael Weidman, Robert Block, Sandra Linconi, and William Gewert. William, I just realized I didn't know how to pronounce your last name correctly. Gewertz, William Gewertz. Please come forward, those of you that I just acknowledged. And so, continuing to stay forward, William, Michael, and Robert, and we'll get Sandra's to her. No, stay forward because you're getting more. All right, so for the next round of classes that I taught, which was a magnificent class for those of you that are missing it, it's called Self-Mastery, the Emergence of the True Self. That's Dennis Goodine. Coming forward. Reverend Lenore Edney, Michael Weidman, Robert Block, and William Gewertz. Right? So, Dennis, I don't have enough hands to take the Postit Notes off. Reverend Lenore. Will, and Robert Block. So stay present. We have 2 more rounds. All right. If you were in either of those 2 classes and weren't there for certificates or please stand quickly. So, or not, well, you just stand and then we'll honor you. Anybody? So we have Julia, we have David, Jody was in some of them. Anyone else? Great, thank you. So moving to the next class on the trajectory, you can sit now, on the trajectory of finding your personal self-empowerment through a spiritual awakening, was the principles of financial freedom using the energy of money. So those getting certificates for that are Dennis Goodine, Julia Stubblefield, and William Gewertz. So Julia, come forward. Julia, you're welcome. Julia. And Dennis. Yes. And if you were in that class, please stand. So we have Jody, Matt Fonda. Yes, we have, I just went blank on your name in the back, Mama. And Wendy, yes. And we had Sherry. Okay, great. All right, so the last class, which we had, which was also even better than the previous 3, was practical mysticism, which was really all about awakening the awareness of the oneness and living from that perspective. So we have William Gewertz, Dennis Goodine, Lenore Edney, Nancy Rooney, and Robert Block. So Nancy, please come forward. William, Dennis, Julia, Reverend Lenore, Nancy, and Robert. And if you were in that class, please stand. David and Jody and Jim Every. All right, so let's take a moment and acknowledge our students. These are the individuals who are studying to propagate the good of our teaching and our philosophy. So thank you so much. You all may be seated. And if you haven't taken classes, please join us in class. It's a really fun, wonderful, inspirational experience. And this last Wednesday night was kind of wild and crazy, but in a good way, right? Wild and crazy in a good way. So I'd like to hear about 82 yeses when I say that. Wild and crazy in a good way? Yeah. So, what I'm teaching right now is prayer. What, why, when, how. And what we're looking at is a new approach to prayer, of really flushing out any attachment, whether we're conscious of it or not, to hanging on to supplication or looking at the divine power, whether it can say yes or no. It's really about breaking it down to a scientific approach, both energetically, from a vibrational frequency perspective, and then using that in a way to not only magnetize that which we desire in our life to experience, but that which we desire in our life to express. Did I capture it, everyone that's in class? Yes. Good. So, How many watched the wedding yesterday? Right? Of course. How many teared up? How many had envy? It was the tiara, right? I got to tell you, yeah. So personally, I would have worn one much bigger, but we all know that. I'm a showboat. So, but we all got to witness many of us got to witness the royal wedding of Meghan Markle and Prince Harry yesterday. Now, if you watched it, which I now know who did, hold on, this is going to drive me a little crazy. Not that I have OCD or anything, but if you watched it, at least from my perspective, I believed it lived up to the hype and the expectations. How about you guys? Yes. Yeah. So to say the least, it's a fairy tale story. Would you agree? It's a fairy tale story. A young woman from America who they kept talking about her being biracial. I mean, obviously that's an issue for them, right? But it's like, well, I guess it did bring them into the 21st century, right? So, but it was truly a fairy tale story, and I believe a fairy tale wedding. I mean, the music alone was a fairy tale wedding. The flowers and that train and that tiny little tiara she wore was a fairy tale wedding. From my perspective, it fulfilled that which is often promised in a certain fairy tale of the girl finding and marrying her prince. And I'm sure there are many, many, many little girls and a lot of little boys overjoyed to witness the manifestation of this fairy tale coming true. The knight in shining armor who becomes your prince and you get to marry them. But what it speaks to from a metaphysical perspective is the possibility of this happening not only just in their life, but in all of our lives. Books are written about it, bedtime stories are told about it, and for centuries and centuries, this idea has been planted in the minds of young girls and even possibly some young boys, even all of us, right? That the Prince Charming will come and sweep us off our feet and we'll have a life of grandeur and riches and the life of royalty. How many wanted that as a child? Got it, right. Who all wanted their prince? Many of us did, right? I got him, but he ended up singing Purple Rain. So I couldn't help it. Now, the experience that many of you got up early in the morning to watch, which I don't quite understand in the day of technology of DVRs, anyway, was quite beautiful to watch. All the pageantry and the beauty and the joy. As I was watching it, I couldn't help but see that love indeed was what was being exchanged in that moment. I was at a dinner party on Friday night and they were laying odds as to how long the marriage would last. And I thought it was so rude because, humans being human, right? Because in looking at them from my perspective, as we talk oftentimes about love being a field of energy that propagates itself out of itself, and we get to see that on television, Meghan and Prince Harry, now Princess Meghan and Prince Harry, from my perspective, the love seemed to be palpable. It didn't seem to be fake and it didn't seem to be false. It seemed to be genuine and real. And that alone, from my perspective, was worth watching that happen. So as I was watching that, I was overjoyed in my own life to be reminded as watching this that indeed in life, dreams can and do come true. Now this morning I'm here to talk about whether that was just a dream or a fairy tale and how you're approaching to live your life. Is it from the perspective of a fairy tale hoping that something could come true? Or are you using your mind and your soul and the power of this teaching in a way to be almost clear that your dreams must come true? As we know in our teaching, dreams are the results of actions of the mind of the individual. And our teaching teaches us, which is timeless in its way, that we attract into our life that which we are focused on, that which we build the consciousness of, and that which we consciously engage in and have the faith of God, as Dr. Ernest Holmes said in the writings of the Science of Mind. When we have the faith of God, it must be made manifest in form. However, we all know that our dreams will not come true simply by putting a wish and a hope under a pillow and praying to let God grant us the wish that we desire. Our philosophy and our teaching is based on universal laws, and the way that we attract the fulfillment of our dreams into our life is through our thoughts, our beliefs, and our actions. This morning, my message very brief in its manner because we were celebrating our students. You might be happy about that. Is titled The Royal I Do. The Royal I Do. Say it with me. The Royal I Do. Well, what does that mean from a metaphysical perspective? That which I'm speaking of today is saying I do, making a covenant and a commitment to the royalty of life. Not someone who has been endowed with royalty, believing that they are the royals because God chose them, but saying, I do to the God that is impersonal, that indwells within each and every one of us. Saying, I do to engage in that which is the powerful part of the co-creative process, along with the powerful part that we play in the co-creative process of tending to our thoughts, our actions, our beliefs, and our reactions in life. My goal this morning is to instruct each and every one of us to live life not hoping and dreaming that a fairy tale will come true, but to engage in a way more and more and more every day, believing that dreams do come true for each of us, for us collectively as a community and a congregation, as long as we're willing to do the work, hold the vision, and have faith that the power of life must bring it forth into action. We've just celebrated and honored our students from the last year and a half taking classes for their own personal growth. This is a reflection of individuals. Many of you have done it at other times in your life. It's a reflection of individuals who have said, I do to your personal growth. It's truly an honor to be on the journey and the pathway of each of you, but certainly these individuals right now who have been working so diligently and so hard and so committed to bring their goals, their dreams, and their enlightenment not only into focus, but into an experience of life itself. I know for myself that as a teacher that I'm not an easy teacher. I'm not as hard as Dr. Walker was, but I'm easy in the sense that I certainly foster personal growth in a way that I would say isn't, I'm going to be really careful how I address this. I would just say that the way that I work with the students is that I definitely hold you to a high standard, but I provoke you to think in a modern, progressive way. Would you guys agree with that? And I really bust their chops when they don't do their homework. And the reason that I do that is because it's not about satisfying my desires to have you go out and do that which I've worked diligently on to create as a curriculum and homework. It's so that when you engage in the philosophy of the practice of this teaching, you realize it's not a 52 times a year action. It's a 365 day a year process, 24 hours a day. It's that when you make a covenant and commitment to your own personal growth, then the law of life brings forward that experience and you begin to vibrate at a frequency that rises you up through the scale of conscious evolution. This week we've been looking at how we fit into that map of consciousness according to Dr. David Hawkins, without any judgment, but saying where in our lives can we grow? In our practical mysticism class that we just acknowledged, we were taught that for us to grow on the evolutionary scale of personal enlightenment and spiritual awakening, it is critical, it is a must, it is incumbent upon us to formally say, I do to the divine within us and playing our role in the co-creative process of life to experience that which we desire, most oftentimes not as form in our life, but as the consciousness that reflects the divinity that already exists within us. We say I do not to a person, not to a deity, but to the marriage of our soul with our actions, to the journey of living life from the oneness of life that is inherent within us already. And within that class, there was a formal ceremony of that marriage of I do. Now, I know that a commitment and a covenant to your spiritual growth in a formal way may sound a bit far-reaching and even highly demanding on one's journey upwards into a higher consciousness for evolution. However, it's important to know that the results of this commitment are worth it. Is there anyone in the room that's made a commitment to your soul's journey of personal self-empowerment through a spiritual awakening and would say, yes, the results are worth it? We all would, because we've been on that journey. It's important for us to know that in this class and every day in life, it's important for us to get up every single morning and remind ourselves of the commitment that we've made to this journey of enlightenment. Winston Churchill says this: fear is a reaction, courage is a decision. We talked about that this week on this journey of enlightenment and awakening for the individuals, is that certainly one making a commitment to I do to the conscious journey of your evolution can be a bit overwhelming. And sometimes we're fearful of when we do the work, what actually might show up in life. And yet when we choose to make a decision, remember, choice is the second greatest gift we've been given, second only to the gift of life itself. Then we begin to develop a mindset and a consciousness where we bring forth into our experience a reflection of the conscious and mindset that we've made a declaration of. It's important for us to remind ourselves that this isn't hocus pocus. It's stuff that we get to experience and form in life. But the key is that we must make that decision if we want to have the experience and not live life from the perspective of imagining or mythical aspects called fairy tales. We're not talking about living a fairy tale life when you step into this teaching and this philosophy, this faith, this way of life. You're stepping into living a life of dreams coming true, which are different than fairy tales. I want to go over the mystical marriage concept of living in life from a place of oneness and being married to your journey of awakening. The students in this class was given the opportunity to look at their deeper sense of the integration of the self with the self. When you commit to that, what you're doing is making a conscious commitment to integrate the humanity with your divinity. I speak of that often. But that's not just something that takes place happenstance. The only way for us to integrate our divinity and our humanity in a way that we experience the results of that is to know more and more and more and more and more and more and then more and more and more every day that we are the power and the presence of the Almighty, that which we call God. And that as we get to experience and express more and more of it, what we become more and more aware of is knowing that we are the power and the presence of the Almighty God, which brings forth into our field of experience and expression a reflection of us knowing that we are the power and the presence of the Almighty, that God, that one omnipotent, omniscient, omnipresent power, which then brings forth into our field of experience, and it goes on and on and on. But that doesn't happen if we don't make a commitment and do the work that is required to live from that place of oneness, i.e., living as a mystic. Joel Goldsmith writes this in regards to the concept of the mystical marriage. Every mystic eventually achieves such a oneness with the Spirit that forever afterwards there is a union with divine consciousness. That which is human and that which is divine meet, and the two become one. This coming together in oneness is called the mystical marriage, the spiritual marriage, if you will. This marriage is symbolically described in some mystical literature, such as the Song of Solomon, as the union of the male and the female brought together by a love that transcends love in any human sense. It has no sensuality in it because there's no corporal reality about it. And yet this relationship that develops between the spiritually endowed individual and God can be described only in terms of love. Now, the love that he's speaking of here transcends the human emotion that we get to exchange with each other and that we witnessed by Maggie and Perry yesterday. And it's that self-givingness of spirit whose desire is to create more of itself out of itself. And the way that that happens for you and I in life is to do what I said just a moment ago about focusing on the power and the presence, the Almighty within us, knowing that we are that power, which then brings forth into the field of experience, our life, a reflection of knowing that there's only one thing ever taking place. It's the power and the presence of the Almighty, the infinite, omnipotent, omniscient power, which then gives us the opportunity to go, yep, baby, there is only one. There is no separation between you and I and all that is, which then gives us the opportunity to move up that spiraling consciousness into a higher form of enlightenment and evolution, which once again brings that back into form. That's the self-givingness of spirit giving more of itself, out of itself, to itself, through itself, which is you and which is me. He goes on to write that mystical literature gives accounts of those who at some time or other transcended the sense of a presence always within them and became the presence itself. There must inevitably come a time in our spiritual journey when we realize our I-ness, and then we are that one, and the other one has disappeared from view. Imagine living your life where separation on any level whatsoever doesn't exist. Can you imagine that? I ask you, can you imagine that? And if you can, it's important to know that that alone can be the sole dream of life. And to know that because dreams do come true, that as you focus on living from that mindset, that consciousness, that perspective, that state of mind, and focusing on that, then it must come into form. But the only way that you know whether it's in form, which means another state of mind, a higher state of mind, is by your recognizing that it happens. It can't simply be because someone says to you, as was done in Namaste, the God in me sees the God in you. It's the God in you is vibrating at such a frequency, it's not seeing it. It just simply knows that it all is. Not from a cerebral perspective, but from a cellular perspective. He goes on to write that so far there is no record of anyone's attaining that level and remaining on it permanently. Although this doesn't mean that it's never happened. But what we do know so far in this teaching, in this philosophy, and the way that mind works, is that we can develop a state of mind and a consciousness where that becomes a more dominant frame of mind. He goes on to write, the ultimate of the mystical experience is a conscious union with the divine. It's a state of inner communion so intense and so lofty that the person disappears and exists then only as the infinite I, while at the same time maintaining their individuality as a person. We have to maintain our individuality because God placed the stamp of individuality upon itself and called it you. And we're still human walking this plane of life, no matter how high we rise up on the scale of consciousness, embracing and owning and expressing our divinity. The celebration of the mystical marriage is what I'm thinking of, which I'm talking about to you today. It's a ritual where we celebrate not only that mystical marriage, but it gives each of us the opportunity to be wedded to the divine self, that Christ consciousness. Today we celebrate the love in which humanity and divinity, the finite and the infinite, not only meet but are realized as one and the same. I'm going to ask you the vows of this marriage, and you can verbalize I do or not. But I do that this morning for the purpose of hopefully awakening within you a greater awareness of the possibility to you to live from your divinity every day in life. As I said, we're having our business meeting this afternoon, right after service today. And in that, we're going to be called as a community to think anew in a way for us to grow. And the only way that we can grow is not simply by actions. It's not about doing stuff. That's important for us to do. But it's about creating a new mindset, a new consciousness of what is possible for us as a community as well as us as individuals. That possibility that I'm talking about isn't simply about growing from a perspective either financially or in numbers. It's about growing in consciousness from a place of oneness to know that we attract back to us that which is a reflection of the consciousness that we desire. So here are the questions. Do you, an awakened being on this planet, vow to give your heart and soul to your beloved, your divine self, loving this presence with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength? Do you vow to be ever faithful to your divinity through deep devotion and surrender? Do you vow to listen to its guidance and follow where it leads you? Do you? Okay. Do you embrace the full circle of life that you include that you include all, excluding nothing from your heart? Good. This morning, I invite you to think of those vows that you've made and ask yourself, what gift can you give yourself beyond the vow? Where in your life can you tend to your divine self, to the I am that exists within all of us in a new way? Is it through giving, not only just externally, but internally? Is it through loving in a new way, not just externally, but internally? Is it through expressing gratitude more in life, not just externally, but internally? Is it by giving yourself the gift of daily standing before the beloved as you look in the mirror and say, I know that I am, that I am, that I am, that I am, that I am. And for that, I'm grateful. And for that, I don't take it lightly. For that, I choose and commit in this very moment to live more from the divine within. And as a result, I propagate good and greatness and more of the oneness that exists in life. And as a result, I know the law of life must bring forth that which is a reflection of me knowing that I am, that I am, that I am, that I am the divinity. Thank you. Have a great Sunday. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I'd like to welcome back our musicians. Enjoy Yoron and Guy.
This is also a song from last week. We did Greatest Showman. It's another song from there.
I am not a stranger to the dark. Hide away, they say, 'cause we don't want your broken parts. I've learned to be ashamed of all my scars. Run away, they say, no one will love you as you are. But I won't let them break me down to dust. I know that there's a place for us, for we are glorious. When the sharpest words wanna cut me down, I'm gonna send a flood, gonna drown them out. I am brave, I am bruised, I am who I'm meant to be. This is me. Look out, 'cause here I come. And I'm marching on to the beat I drum. I'm not scared to be seen. I make no apologies. This is me. Oh, oh, another round of bullets hits my skin. Well, fire away, 'cause today I won't let the shame sink in. We are bursting through the barricade and reaching for the sun. We are warriors, yeah, that's what we become. Won't let them break me down to dust. I know that there's a place for us, for we are glorious. When the sharpest words wanna cut me down, gonna send a flood, gonna drown them out. I am brave, I am bruised, I am who I'm meant to be. This is me. Look out, 'cause here I come. And I'm marching on to the beat I drum. I'm not scared to be seen. I make no apologies. This is me. Oh, 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 oh,
oh, oh, oh, oh.
This is me.
Oh,
And I know that I deserve your love.
oh,
'Cause there's nothing I'm not
oh,
worthy of. When the sharpest words wanna cut me down, I'm gonna send a flood, gonna drown them out. This is brave, this is proof, this is who I'm meant to be, this is me. Look out, 'cause here I come.
oh,
And I'm marching on to the beat I drum.
oh,
I'm not scared to be seen, I make no apologies, this is me. Gonna send a flood, gonna drown them out. This is me. Thank you guys. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Fantastic. If we can have our ushers come forward, please. That was quite wonderful. From the movie The Greatest Showman. The film The Greatest Showman. So now is an opportunity for you to participate in conscious giving. It's the time that we both receive the blessings of money that you've decided to share with us. Your opportunities to give both are through cash, check, credit card in the back. You can see Reverend Edward or Maureen at the table in the back. Or you can go online to our website, csl-la.org. It's always there, awake and alert, ready to receive your conscious giving. You have the option of doing that through PayPal and or credit cards, or through our app, the CSL-LA app in the App Store, which is how I gave this morning. So please take whatever you're giving and place it close to your heart. The heart being the symbol of love. Love being the self-givingness of spirit. So let's know together that as we give, it's multiplying as spirit itself, expressing more and more and more of itself. And join me by saying, conscious giving heals. It awakens and enlivens my awareness. I am one with the divine spirit. And I am one with an abundant universe.
And I am one with an abundant universe.
So I give today
So I give today
as an evolved consciousness
as an evolved consciousness
and a compassionate human. And I give with love.
love,
And I know.
and I know,
And I know that I know
and I know that I know
that it returns to me
it returns to me
multiplied abundantly.
multiplied abundantly.
And so it is.
This to give to be simple, this to give to be free, this to give to come down to where we ought to be. And when we find ourselves in a place just right, we will be in the valley of love and delight. When true simplicity is gained, to bow and to bend we shouldn't be ashamed. To turn will be our delight, till by turning we come round right.
Thank you, you're all. Thank you. A big thank you. A big thank you to our musicians today. You're Ron, Guy, and Enjoy. A big thank you to our practitioner who led the meditation, the one and only Joanne Worley. To your practitioner du jour in the service, moi. Moi. Our illuminator, the one and only Dr. Neil Foster. Neil with 2 L's. Thank you for setup today with Jesus and Bob Zulinski. Yes. Craig Mason, who volunteered helping us set up today. Craig, thank you. And a big thank you to Erwin and Rolando. Our board member on duty today is Connie Schneider. She will be available to you for the brief time that you have between the service and the board meeting. Some announcements. Continuing our Wednesday morning guided meditation at 8 a.m. If you can make time between 8 o'clock and 8:30 on Wednesday morning, please join us online. It's a great midweek way to be reflective and to remind you of what you've heard here today and what we're all consciously committing to practice. Dance class continues this Friday, every Friday at 11:30 at the Hollywood Dance Center with Walter Painter, called The Spirit of Dance. It's about awakening within you the oneness that exists through the form of jazz dance. It's fun. We did some cha-cha-cha on Friday. Remind you that you can go to our website for updated recordings and past week's showings of the service through our YouTube channel. You can also go to our YouTube channel if you're a social media person. I know many of you are not, but feel free to like our Facebook page, and you can find us on both Facebook and on Instagram. All right. Want to remind you that there are 2 more prayer classes that take place in the lobby on Wednesday night at 7:15 to about 9:28. And we're continuing. There's 2 more. Check it out. Our goal is to get out by 9:15, and I'm usually done about 9:28. So do that. Some upcoming events that we need your participation in is June 3rd is Bring a Friend to CSL LA Day. Please bring 1 or more friends. Just take a moment and ask yourself if this environment helps you create a life that's better for yourself. And if so, is there 1 or more people you could share that with? We have more chairs we can set up, by the way. I want you to watch for updates on the event that we're doing with Congregation Kol Ami on June 5th. It will be a food packing, an evening packing food for the children of Syria. We'll have food here that night as well for us to eat, and a great community sharing time with Congregation Kol Ami. June 24th is going to be our Young Leader Sunday. Those that I talked to you about that we had dinner with a couple of Sunday nights ago that are under 38 and above 24. That's about the demographic that we have here that's younger. We'll be hosting the Sunday service, and it's going to be really fun. It'll be something new and exciting for us to do. As well as July 8th is our upcoming picnic at Cheviot Hills Park. So today, after the service, is our annual congregational business meeting. You don't have to be a member to be here. We welcome anyone that would like to come. But here's how it's going to work. So we're going to, in the service, you'll go out and have fruit. I brought you fruit today, as well as some flour products with some high fructose syrup in it as well, along with caffeine and sugar and water and tea and all of that. Then we'll ring the bell and let you know to come back in. You will need to check in when you come back in. There will be a place for members to acknowledge that they're here. If you're a member and you're here today and you're not coming back, please sign as a proxy on that list so we have it. The others will take your name and your email address when you come in if you're not a member. And then once we establish that we have a quorum, we'll begin the meeting. The meeting will last approximately an hour, where our goal is to have it begin at 11:20. Are there any questions on that? You'll hear the state of the center, you'll get a financial report, and just update on what's going on. And we definitely need all members to be here or to sign the proxy. And once again, anyone else that's here is welcome to come. Anything else? We good? All right. 11:03, let's close. Okay. All righty. I just said that so we can get you out and get you back in. All right, let's close with the spiritual mind treatment, knowing that we are here today, not by mistake. We've come here saying, yes, this is me, and I love who I am. And so I don't just love who I am, but I let who I am out. I come out of the spiritual closet rocking and rolling out in the world, consciously making an impact on all that I come in contact with. Today's the day that I revere the opportunity to say I do to the beloved that exists within. Not just as a human being, but my divinity, expressing itself in all of its magnificence. And so with that, I revel in the opportunity to come back in here today and consciously participate in the evolution of my spiritual community, meaning each one of our spiritual communities, known as the Center for Spiritual Living Los Angeles. Here we grow again. We let it be by saying together, amen. And so it is. Thank you. Enjoy, get some food, a little bit of drink, and come on back in. Wait to be called back in. Yes.
Another round of bullets hits my skin. Well, fire away, 'cause today they won't let the shame sink in. We are bursting through the barricades and reaching toward the sun. We are warriors. Yeah, that's when we become. Won't let them break me down to dust. I know that there's a place for us. For we are glorious. When the sharpest words wanna cut me down, I'm gonna send a flood, gonna drown them out. I am brave, I am bruised, I am who I'm meant to be. This is me. Look out, 'cause here I come. And I'm marching on the beat I drum. I'm not scared to be seen. I make no apologies. This is me. Oh, 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 oh. This is me. And I know that I deserve your love. 'Cause there's nothing I'm not worthy of. When the sharpest words wanna cut me down, gonna send a flood, gonna drown them out. This is brave, this is proof, this is who I'm meant to be. This is me. Look out, 'cause here I come. And I'm marching on to the beat I drum. I'm not scared to be seen. I make no apologies. This is me. When the sharpest words wanna cut me down, gonna send a flood, gonna drown them out. This is me.